I'm sure you think that anger gives you fuel, that fire that pushes you through to prove people wrong and to keep going. I used to think that too. But what if I told you that anger doesn't help you move forward? It actually keeps you stuck. That fuel that you think you get from anger is actually your nervous system running on empty. Today, I want to talk what really anger does to your body and your mind, and how it shaped my life for years and years, and how I completely release it using timeline therapy. If we haven't met yet, I'm Brandy, the Dragonfly Coach. I'm a well-being and mindset coach, and I help women and men in HR and leadership roles release that emotional baggage, regulate their nervous system, and rediscover calm and confidence. But before I ever became a coach, I had to learn how to manage the most powerful emotion of all, besides love, and that's anger. And we know we all get angry, right? Anger is natural and is part of what makes us human sometimes. But when it becomes our default setting, the emotion we run on, it quietly starts to run us. Physiologically, anger triggers your flight and fight response. Your body releases adrenaline and cortisol, your heart rate spikes, your muscle tense, and your breathing becomes shallow. You know that going up and down, then you feel at some point like you can't breathe properly because of that anger that surrounds you. And the surge of energy in that moment can feel powerful, but it's unsustainable. When anger becomes a habit, your body stays in that constant state of alert, even when there is no real danger. You know, that lion is not chasing you. There is no need to get angry about it. And that's when you notice the exhaustion, the headaches, the poor sleep, the digestive issues, and constant mental tension. Because your body was never designed to stay in that state all the time, only to visit it briefly. I'm not a stranger to anger. No, I'm not. I grew up in an environment where anger was the norm. It was how people expressed frustration, pain, even love probably. And as a child, you absorb all that and it becomes your blueprint. So I carry the same pattern into my adulthood, the blind rage, the shouting, the storm that builds up and explodes before you can stop it. You familiar with that? And I couldn't control it. I don't think I wanted to. And over time I realized that anger has different layers. Sometimes it wasn't even real anger. It was fear. Fear of being ignored, fear of being hurt or misunderstood. Another time I was carrying other people's emotions, the collective tension that wasn't even mine. Sure, you maybe encounter going in a room or a place and suddenly becoming agitated and a bit angry without actually no one saying anything to you. It's just the tension around you that you can absorb. And it took me ages and many years to realize that. And of course, the turning point for me started when I went through my own journey of healing. And one of the most powerful tools that I encountered was timeline therapy. And I will always remember how I felt after that session. It was like suddenly I could fly. There was light, there was clearance, there was everything else positive. I literally felt I could fly. And in that moment, forgiveness for everything that happened in the past came like that. I didn't have to think it. It was just on. But I digress. I remember where during a session someone asked me, who would I be without the anger? And it took me really by surprise, because I never thought that someone wants to be constant in that anger. And how so many times we rely on the anger and we think it's helpful, and we think, this is us. I have to wear that anger as a badge of honor. What a nonsense. And of course, the same for me for a long time. Anger was fuel. It was what kept me achieving, fighting for what I wanted, proving myself. It didn't matter that in those times I was pushing people away from me. What I realized in time, that anger was just a substitute of a real drive, and it kept me in that survival mode constantly. Always pushing, never resting, or never mentally resting. And I know so many people that they are the same. They confuse anger with power. But real strength comes from peace, not from rage. And through timeline therapy, which is an unconscious process, I managed to go to my root memories on anger and release it safely. And I'm sure the event is still there, because timeline therapy doesn't erase the events. It just releases the emotional charge and puts the memory back. Remember that Inside Out movie where there is a bank of all the memories that we store? But if you take the negative emotions from those, some of the bad memories, the memory still stays there, but there is no emotional charge. And you might think that helps you thrive into the world, but it's not. And what's left when you take those negative emotions is clarity. It's the ability to see what happens without reliving the pain. It's taking lesson from that event, because on everything that happens in our life, if you take a lesson from it, you suddenly feel clear on the subject and lighter. And that changes everything. After that work, I felt that someone just lifted a heavy backpack that I was carried on my shoulder for 40 plus years. And I could finally respond and not react. And of course, it took longer. There will still be probably anger or upset when people are crossing your values and boundaries. However, now I live in a home that there is no rage and there is no anger. And yes, my voice gets loud sometimes. That's just me being passionate. But it's not driven by rage anymore. It's grounded. And it's me. And if you are someone that still feels that anger controls you, maybe it's not explosive necessarily like how mine was, but that quiet frustration or resentment that keeps you simmering, I want you to know it doesn't have to stay that way. Inside one of my 6-week coaching program, I include timeline therapy, which is designed to release deep-rooted emotions like anger, fear, sadness, hurt, and guilt. All those 5 emotions that sometimes are blocking us to move forward in our life. And it's such a powerful way to free yourself from old emotional patterns. Finally experience inner peace without losing your drive or passion. The most important thing is, though, to want to release those emotions, to really want to release those emotions. And because when emotions are gone, your nervous system relaxes. You stop reacting to the past and start creating your future, which is another name for this amazing technique, is called creating your own future. There is a link below explaining more about the program and how to book, or you can just message me, email me for a short discussion. And let's release what's no longer serve you and make space for light again. And thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Remember, anger doesn't make you strong. Peace does. And when you start living from that space, everything changes. All the best, and I'll see you next time.